The Master of Commerce in Marketing Management, Lerato Sarah Mashilo, who receives the degree with distinction.
This is my chance. Calm down, calm down. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Lerato Mashilo, and I am a public speaker / motivational speaker, and I'm known as the lady in academia on TikTok because I'm really so passionate about academia. I'm so passionate about encouraging and motivating people. And I recently posted my graduation video. I was graduating for my master's degree with a distinction. Yes, with a distinction. And I just decided to share my testimony on TikTok. And I really didn't expect the video to get so much feedback and so much of people reaching out to me, DMing me, asking questions, telling me that they're very encouraged and very motivated to go back to school. And some of y'all actually asked me to record a detailed video of my journey. And this is why I'm recording this video, because I feel like it will touch many, many souls, and a lot of people are going to be motivated and encouraged by my story. So without wasting any time, I'll just get into detail about how it all started, okay? Because people have been wanting to know why did you skip grade 9, 10, and 11? I think that's the question that I've been getting mostly from people. And I decided to say, you know what? Let me just record a video and just share my entire journey. So what had happened was, when I was in grade 8, I studied at this high school, and I remember I was one of those outstanding students. So at home, I have 4 siblings, so it's 5 of us. So my mom was a single parent. So when we went to school, we were struggling financially. Like, we were struggling so much. And at some point, my mother couldn't pay for our school fees. And that really contributed into why we had to leave school at that young age. It was not by choice, actually. So because for some months we couldn't pay for the school fees, the principal was like, hey, listen, you guys owe the school so much money. And because you owe the school, we have to let you go. You can imagine how heartbreaking that was for me. My mom really tried everything and really begged the principal to give her time to be able to have that money to pay for our school fees, but the principal was just not having it. At the time, I was doing grade 8, and my oldest siblings, I think my 2 older sisters were doing grade 11, my other sister was doing grade 10. So I was the youngest one that had just recently started in high school. And in class, I was one of those outstanding students. So I remember at the end of the year, the principal was like, this is your last year. Please do not come back next year. If you do not have the money to pay for the school fees, do not come back, okay? And as a result, because we couldn't pay for our school fees, we didn't get our report cards. So even if we wanted to go to another school, we couldn't go, because the schools that I went to after being kicked out of that high school, they wanted proof that I had completed my grade 8. I completed my grade 8, but I did not get a report card that indicated that I completed my grade 8. So I tried different schools and they just didn't want to take me. They didn't want to take me. I even tried about fly-by-nights. You know those schools that are called fly-by-nights, where you like, because I was tired, I wanted to go back to school. But even those fly-by-night schools didn't want me. So I ended up staying home. My other sisters went to college because at least they had grade 10. The other 2 had grade 11, so they went to college. At that time, I couldn't go to college with just grade 8. So I ended up staying home, and I would collect materials from the library, and I would teach myself from home. I would wake up, clean, prepare everything, and then after that, I will go into my room and just do my work, try to teach myself from home. And then I think I was home for about 3 years just teaching myself from home. And then in 2007, I was like, I want to go and write my matric. At that time, to other people, it didn't make sense because I've been home. The last time I went to school was when I did my grade 8. So it just didn't make sense. We would see, why would I just want to completely just jump straight into grade 12? So I ended up going to this night school. I don't know if I should say the name of the high school, but I approached them because they had a night school there. So I went there and I explained my situation to them, that I've been home for 3 years and I've just been teaching myself from home, and I just want to do my matric and write my final exams. You can imagine the look that I got. They're like, are you serious? You just explained your entire story, and now you're telling us that you want to come here and write your matric. And I said, yes, that's what I want to do. And they said to me, do you understand that the people that are attending this night school are people that wrote their matric? They're here because they want to rewrite their matric. And you coming here, you've never done your grade 9, you've never done your grade 10, you've never done your grade 11, and you just want to write your grade 12. And I said, yes, that's what I want. I just want an opportunity to be educated, to go back to school. And at first they didn't agree. So I went back home sad, and my mom went again the next day and begged them and explained our financial situation and the struggles we were facing, And then they ended up agreeing. But obviously, they looked at me with that weird look that I wonder what to uzokhona na, because what you trying to do, it seems impossible. But they ended up giving me a chance. So that year, I attended my grade 12 at that particular high school. And guys, it was horrible. It was horrible. I was doing 6 subjects, and all of them were higher grades. At that time, being higher grade, nabo standard grade. I took all those subjects as higher grade. Mathematics, physical science, biology, geography, English, and Afrikaans. And every night I would attend those classes. And it was a nightmare, especially with maths and physics, because I was just seeing stars. I was just there seeing stars, not understanding anything. Every day, going back home, I would cry. Literally, tears. Because in my head, I was like, Lerato, you want this. But are you going to pass? Because it just seemed very bad. But I just didn't have the courage to give up, the courage to say, okay, that's it, I'm done. I'm no longer going back to that high school. I would cry the next day, I'm back. And even going there, because financially we were struggling, sometimes when I taxi, and they would take turns, bebang kapa nge bicycle, so literally bebang lift, ba shove nami, ba shove figure esikolweni. And I remember one time this teacher actually saw my brother dropping me off with the bicycle. So I would say to my brother, hey, don't drop me off like closer to the gate because people will see me. Just drop me off further down the road, you know. One day, the biology teacher will see my brother dropping me off, you know. And then in class, he didn't actually say my name, but he actually said, hey, abanye beza ngamabhayisikili la asifuni ukubasha amagama. So it was really a very difficult year. But I did not have it in me to give up. And even during that period, I had people saying negative things, you know, saying the worst things. Uguti, you know, udom, like, because at some point we wrote a test at that night school for maths, and I literally got one. In fact, the teacher said, ngitholu 0. So low one, mfake because bekangafuna ukungidlaza, you know. So yes, I'm saying this laughing because I've overcome all those obstacles. But at that time, guys, I wasn't laughing at all. I was always in tears. I was very depressed. I was just going through the most, you know. And I remember fast forward to writing my final exams. Guys, you know, when you're studying, we are born and now, here you are seeing flames, you know, and you are going to write your final exams. But when I learned to see, Yazin, cut it, let's drop this. I just wanted to see myself educated. Because in my head, I was like, I don't even have a report. So I don't have a choice. This has to work out. So when I had to write my final exams, I wrote all my subjects. I literally went in those classes with confidence. Even when I knew, even when I knew physics, but I went in there with so much confidence, you know, with so much courage. And I ended up writing all my subjects. And I knew that, you know what, I didn't pass my subjects. I knew if in Pasile, maybe 2 or 1, you know. But I was happy about the fact that I wrote. For me, it didn't matter what's in Pasile or in Failile. But the fact that I went to that night school the whole year and attended classes and even wrote my final exams, for me, that was a big achievement. That was a big, big achievement. So yeah, wrote my exams, December, got called to come and fetch my statement of results. Obviously, I knew. Okay, I knew what to expect. I went there and the ladies in the office just started laughing. You know, they laughed and I laughed as well because I knew it, you know. And then I took my statement of results and I passed 2 subjects. I passed biology and English. That's it. The rest of the subjects I got for my 10%, 11%. I felt defeated, but I was like, but Lerato, you did it. And I remember going back home. My mom had prepared a surprise braai for me. And I was like, but mom, I didn't pass. My mom was like, my child, for me, you worked hard. It's not about you having failed or you having passed. The fact that you went to a night school, attended each and every day, and went to go and write your final exams, for me, that is huge. And I cried. I cried because my mom was so supportive. I don't think I would be this far without the support of my mother, my siblings, just my family. I wouldn't be this far without them because they've literally seen me through the worst and seen me through all the positives and celebrated all my wins. They've been there from the very beginning. So after obtaining that statement, when my mom celebrated me, that really uplifted and encouraged me. And I don't want to cry because I'm going to mess up my makeup. So after that year, I went back the next year, 2008, obviously I failed. I wanted to try again. And I went back to that high school. But they were like, no, you're going to repeat what you repeated last year. And we don't want that. So I begged them to take me, but they didn't want. And then I ended up going to the Department of Education. I remember I was 17. Yeah, I was 17, turning 18, I think. And I went to the Department of Education to explain my situation. And I told them, I didn't do grade 9, I didn't do grade 10, I didn't do grade 11. And I went to this high school and I failed and they don't want to take me back. I was like, they don't want to take me back. And all I want to be is educated. And I said, I came here to the Department of Education because I want to be educated. They knew there was nothing they could do. They knew they had to help me. Some way, somehow, they had to assist me because I was not going out of that office until I got assisted. And eventually, they agreed. They said to me, okay, they're going to agree for me to rewrite my exams. But this time around, I don't have a year to prepare. So I think at that time, I literally had 2 months, 3 months to prepare for my final exams. And I remember the guy said to me, okay, you told me your story and I completely understand. But my advice is that why don't you take 3 subjects in 2008, since you are only left with 2 months to prepare, and then rewrite the other 3 subjects in 2009. And I said, no, I want to write all my 6 subjects. And he looked at me and he said, are you serious? Are you hearing yourself? You are literally left with just 2 months. Are you telling me, are you going to be able to prepare to write your final exams within a short period of time? Are you prepared to do all these 6 subjects within 2 months? And I said, yes. And he said to me, if you failed 6 subjects, given a year to prepare for your final exams, what makes you think you are going to pass 6 subjects if you only have 2 months to prepare for exams? And I just said, listen, just give me my permit. Me, I will write 6 subjects. That's it. And he said to me, okay, your choice. And indeed, they gave me a permit to write my 6 subjects. Guys, in that 2 months, I was young, but I've never experienced God the way that I did at that time. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to meditate the word of God. But at that time, I was praying. I was filled with so much faith. I was filled with so much power. I could feel God's presence. I could feel God's power in my life. I remember in that 2 months, I would cry out to God daily. And I would ask God to perform a miracle for me. I would ask God to give me the strength and the power to be able to do so well that I will pass my matric. In that 2 months, I wouldn't sleep. I would wake up at 3 a.m. I would collect resources. I would practice by myself at home, I would go to someone who assisted and said to Engazi, okay, he's doing his matric. If I need assistance with physics, I will go to that person who will assist me. I legit, just in that 2 months, I focused. In that 2 months, I was in my world. I felt different. I felt that nothing is impossible in those 2 months. And I was home legit every day, practicing, studying, without the assistance of teachers, teaching myself at home. And I would constantly remind myself, how brilliant I am, how amazing I am, and that nothing is impossible for me. I would constantly remind myself daily. In that 2 months, I prayed, I trusted God. And I ended up writing all my exams. And I remember the first day of writing my exams, I was writing a paper 1 in mathematics. I woke up sick that day. And when I woke up, I didn't want to stress my family. I was writing at 9 a.m. I didn't want to stress my family to tell them, Buto, I'm not feeling okay and whatnot, because I knew my mom was going to stress out. So Bekonu Gogo was a big opposite, who was a prayer warrior, a very prayerful woman. And I remember in that morning, I woke up to go to that granny. And when I knocked on the door, she could immediately see and tell that I was crying, I was emotional. And then she asked me, and she said to me, my child, I can see that you're not okay. Please get in. And I got in, and we went inside her room. And she said, what's wrong? And I told her that today I am writing my first exam, and I woke up sick. I'm not feeling okay. And I'm nervous because I've been praying for this. I've been praying for God to be with me. And today is just an important day because I'm starting with my first exam. And she said to me, everything that you have been asking God for, He has already done it. And I remember just trying even more. And then she said to me, all we're going to do now, we are going to kneel down and thank God for answering your prayers. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to kneel down and thank God for the great thing that He has already done for you. I cried. We knelt down. I was still in pain, and we were just praying and praying. And she held my hand, and we were just praying and praying. And then after praying, she said to me, ngicela uyothatha stationery sakho zonke lezo ozosebenzisa to go and write your exams, and just go to the Department of Education. Do not pay attention to what you are feeling, because God has already won the battle for you. And I remember going back to the house. Didn't even tell anyone. Got inside the house, took my pencils, everything, Raham, Nakibeli takes, and I went to the Department of Education. And I remember getting there, and then they showed me my desk. They said, okay, this is where you are going to write. This is your invigilator. I was still in so much pain. But now my focus wasn't on the pain, but my focus was already on what God has done for me. So I remember just sitting down, and the invigilator said to me, you don't look okay. Are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. And I remember when I was about to start writing, then he said to me, are you sure you're okay? And I said, yes. The minute he said, you can start writing, the pain that I felt stopped. And I cried. In that moment, I cried because it showed me how real God is. And he saw me crying, and he came again. He said, are you sure you're okay? No. This time it was tears of joy. And I said, yes, I'm okay. I just couldn't believe how fast the pain stopped. Immediately when they said to me, you can start writing, the pain just disappeared. And I wrote that paper 1 like nobody's business. And I remember they kept emphasizing to me, they said to me, you are not like a child who goes to day school who have a mark already. Like, I don't know if it's called a portfolio mark or what. They said to me, I have 0. So whatever mark that I get for my exams, those marks will determine whether I fail or I pass. So I was writing under so much pressure. So I wrote my first paper. I wrote so nice. The paper was flowing. And I remember going back home so excited, telling my mom the miracle that had happened and that I woke up sick, and they didn't know anything because I woke up early. And I was just super excited. And then I went on, wrote all my exams. Everything was flowing. And after a month or 2, they called me back to come and fetch my result. I couldn't sleep that day. I was very nervous. I remember just going to the Department of Education to fetch my results. And when I got there, they knew my story. When I got there, the lady looked at me. And in my mind, I was like, oh, not again. Not again. I hope it's not a fail. It cannot be a fail. No. And the lady said to me, well done. Well done. And she said, you passed all your subjects. I'd say, imagine other students came here rewriting 1 subject, 2 subjects, they failed. You came and rewrote 6 subjects and you passed all your subjects. Sure. I was so happy to a point that day I almost got hit by a car because I was just so excited. I just crossed the road. I didn't pay attention to cars, anything. I was just so happy. And to this day, for me, obtaining that matric certificate without going to a day school, without the assistance of teachers, for me, that is the biggest achievement. Because after that, God opened so many doors for me. You know, people that looked at me and undermined me and spoke negatively of me, I didn't allow all the negative things that people had to say about my situation to bring me down. Instead, it uplifted me. I'm not going to lie and say it wasn't painful. Yes, it was. You know, when people look down on you and say all sorts of horrible things, it can get to you. But it definitely didn't bring me down. So fast forward to going to college. So after obtaining my matric, obviously I didn't immediately go to college. You know, after that, I was hustling, trying to, you know, figure things out, trying to get somewhere in life. But the things that I tried out at that time, they didn't work out. So at some point after that, I ended up getting a bit depressed that, you know, things weren't working out. But God is an amazing God. I remember at a time where I actually felt like, okay, that's it. I'm tired. I've had it. Then a miracle happened. I remember one time I was at home, and during that time, at home, a whole lot of things were happening. You know, we lost a house, and we ended up staying in a shack, and we were just struggling in that time. So you can imagine, with everything that we are going through as a family and things not working out here when I want to go to school and all of that, it was just a whole lot. But in that time, God's miracle happened. I was home. Then my mom came and said to me, she met the Ekurhuleni West College team in my shop. Like, she went to the shopping center and they were there asking if she had kids that wanted to go back to school. And my mom knew that I wanted to go back to school. So she was excited and told them that, no, she has a daughter that wants to go back to school. And they said to her, no, bring her on Monday. Then the cars, like the EWC cars, will be waiting here to fetch her so that she will go and register for any course that she likes. So my mom came and told me the good news. But I was like, Jani, ma'am, this is too good to be true. These people were at the shopping center and they told you all of this, and they told you that Monday you should bring me and then they will take me to EWC. I'm like, no, this can't be true. My mom said, my child, it's very true. So on Monday they said I should bring you. Fine. I didn't believe it at the time, but I was like, you know what? On Monday, I'll go with my mom and see what's going to happen. Monday morning, we got up with mom and went to where they asked us to come on Monday morning. And indeed, I won't forget that sight. Indeed, we got there. EWC cars were waiting and my mom introduced me and they were so happy to see me. And they were like, okay, don't worry, you are safe. We are just going to take you to EWC to register. I'm like, are you serious? Is this true? Won't you want money? Won't you want any? They said to me, stop asking questions. Stop asking questions and live with us. Obviously, I was nervous. I was nervous because I was just not sure if this was really true. And they left with me. Indeed, they left with me. We got to EWC and they just showed me around and they told me, okay, these are the documents you need, and don't worry, there's a bursary that's going to fund your studies. Everything is just intact. You just decide which course you want to do and that's it. And indeed, I applied for a course. At first, I wanted something in marketing or project management, but this other lecturer looked at my matric results and said to me, no, I think you should go to finance. And I said, finance? I've never done accounting. And that lecturer assured me that I would do well. He said, don't worry, we have the best lecturers, so you are definitely going to do well. And he ended up convincing me to do finance, economics, and accounting, level 2, 3, and 4, which is NCV. So at that time, I was like, 3 years for NCV. And I think I was 24. And I said to my mom, I will finish here at college when I'm 27. Then my mom said to me, once you are 27, you will have accomplished something. Instead of you being home at 24, 25, 26, not 27. Instead of being home and not doing anything, you will have accomplished something. So those were the best words. I was like, Mom is right. Mom is absolutely right. So I was no longer bothered about the fact that I was going to be at college for 3 years. And I ended up doing finance, and I became an outstanding student in level 2, in level 3, and in level 4. So I was a top student throughout my studies at college. And I also won a business competition as a public speaker. And I don't know if I should share that story because already the video is long, so it's going to make the video even longer. But let me try and cut it short. So what happened was that we were part of a business training. So they had a competition. So at that time, I was doing level 4, and they told me it was compulsory for us to, compile a business plan and submit it for the business competition. And I was like, a business plan? I don't have a business idea. What am I going to do? And then I ended up talking to my brother, who's good in graphic designing. And I said to him, please help me compile a graphic designing business plan. My brother's like, okay, sure. And then we compiled a business plan. We came with the business name. He designed the logo, and we just did everything that needed to be done. And then I submitted the business plan. But when I submitted it, I didn't care whether I entered a competition or not. I just submitted it because we were told that we have to submit it as part of the assignment or something of that sort. Little did I know that this business plan is going to be shortlisted. And then they called me to the office a few months later. They said to me, you are part of the top 20 amongst the Okuruleni West campuses. You are part of the top 20 in the business competition. And I was like, what, top 20? They said, remember you entered. I'm like, oh, that. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they said to me, you have to attend a business training. At the time, I was about to write my final exams for level 4. I was like, no, I'm not attending any training. I'm focused on writing my exams. Then my lecturer said to me, Lerato, do you realize how big this is? I mean, you are in the top 20. And then they ended up convincing me to go for the business training, and I did. Throughout the training, they then told us how important it is to be passionate about whatever business idea you have. And I was sitting there, I was like, I know nothing about graphic designing. I legit know nothing. I just submitted it, just to make sure that I do everything as expected. And they advised us to change the business idea within 3 days. If you want to change it, then you can change it. And then I went back home and I said to my family, I know nothing about graphic designing. I mean, when we do presentations, what am I going to say? And in that 3 days, I decided to completely change the idea. And the idea that came to mind was motivational speaking. Some of my friends looked at me and they were like, are you serious? You're changing a graphic designing business idea into motivational speaking. Have you ever seen anyone run a business as a motivational speaker? And I was like, you know what? I love public speaking. I love motivational speaking. So I'm definitely going to stick with this idea, whether I get support or not. And I did. I decided to change the business idea into motivational speaking. And I came up with the name for my company, which is Motivital. Motivation is vital. And I just ran with that idea. And I remember having to do presentations for public speaking. I was nervous, but I really sold my idea because that's how passionate I am. And the ceremony happened and they announced the winners. And I was called as the overall winner. You see, God, never compare your journey to another person. Because I was competing amongst people that had great innovative ideas. And here am I, Lerato Mashilo, with public speaking, with motivational speaking, And when I won, I just knew. I was like, this is part of me. This is a calling. It's not just motivational speaking. It's not just public speaking. It's bigger than that. I've been called to serve. I've been called to impact people positively. I've been called to touch people positively. And I think even my journey, everything that I've been through, it was not all in vain. It was all for God's purpose, for me to get to where I am. And it was part of God preparing me for where I am right now. So I won the business competition and I was also an outstanding student. So I came out of college a different person, from a person who went to night school, failed, repeated, passed, and, going through stuff in life. Going to college really changed me. And then I came out as this top student. I came out as a public speaker. And so many great things happened for me. And I grew so much in every aspect of my life. And then after that, I was like, I want to go to university. And to rewind a bit, when I failed matric, I know this seems crazy. I took that statement of results where I failed and I tried applying at university. And I remember I wrote a motivational letter because I was also applying for a bursary, why I deserved the bursary. So imagine having failed, writing a motivational letter. and going to the police station to certify those documents. I won't forget, those police officers laughed at me and said to me, where do I think I'm headed in life with such marks? At that time, people thought I was crazy, but I was manifesting something because I saw where I wanted to be. So whatever I was doing at that time seemed crazy, but to me it wasn't, because I saw myself going into university. Yes, at that time, everything seemed blurry, everything seemed impossible, but I saw the vision. Hence, I didn't allow anything that tried to distract me. I didn't allow it to distract me or to become an obstacle. So yeah, back to completing college. So I completed college. When I graduated, I think I was amongst the top 16 achievers, So God has been so great. And after that, I was like, I'm going straight to university. I went to four different universities, and I got rejected. And they said to me, they do not recognize NCV. I was like, every time there is a battle, but I will overcome. So imagine being rejected at 4 different universities. You keep going and applying and you get rejected. And I remember going to NW. Even that in itself, Northwest University, was a miracle. Because when I went there, I remember that day when I went to NW, I was actually going to VUT. When I got to VUT, I was told that the course that I wanted was not there. But I remember at the scene on my way to VUT, I was talking with this guy and telling him my challenges and that I've been rejected by 4 different universities and so forth. Ganti, there's a guy who's overhearing our conversation, because I was telling that specific person that I was talking to that I wanted to do accounting, but it wasn't CA, but it wasn't there at VUT. And then when we got off the taxi, the guy who overheard our conversation wasn't even facing my direction. I want to show you how God works in miraculous ways. So he got off the taxi and he was facing the other way. And he said, no, the course that you want is at Northwest University. Then he walked away. He didn't even give me a chance to look at him and to say thank you and to ask for directions. To this day, I believe that it was an angel. I honestly do believe it was an angel. So when I got off the taxi, I'm like, oh, should I get inside VUT or not? But I only had an application fee for VUT. I was like, oh, let me just go and see what I can enroll for. I decided to go to VUT and I enrolled for that course that I enrolled for that day. But my mind was no longer there. Immediately after applying, I then went to the security guard and I asked where in NW Northwest University is. And luckily, it was not too far from VUT. And I remember I'm not even telling anyone at home, but hey, now I'm going to, no, they knew that I was going to VUT. And then I rushed to Northwest University, got there, got to the admin office. When I got there, I stood on the queue. The lady said to me, no, we don't know NCV. And she quickly got rid of me from the queue and said, please move from the queue. Next. You can imagine, I'm tired, it's hot, I'm hungry. I'm like, I've been going to all these universities and they don't want NCV. I'm like, there is no way I'm giving up. Because when I got inside NW, I knew that this is where I belonged. I felt it. I felt that this is where God wants me. And I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. And I remember I stood on the side and there was this other student that was helping people. And I said to her, hi, do you know NCV? She said, no, I don't. I'm like, I've been going to all these universities and they don't want to take me with NCV. And the lady was like, oh no, there's someone by this specific office. Let me take you to that person. That person will assist you. And mind you, I also went to the higher Department of Education to also state the struggles that I was facing in the NCV. But they said to me, there's no such institutions do recognize NCV. And By the way, NCV stands for National Certificate Vocational. So I went to that office. And I got there, and the guy could see that I was like, yay, I was tired. I was emotional. I was like, no, I can't do so well at college only to be rejected, at universities. And I said to him, I'm facing a problem, and this is the problem. Guess what? The guy was like, no, I know NCV. And we do take NCV students. If it's not God, I don't know. If it's not God. And he said to me, tomorrow is the last day for applications. Please go and make sure you get all the necessary documents that you need. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, do not stand in the queue. Do not go to anyone else. Bring all your documents to me. You see this God that we serve. You see, Minashem, I talk about God everywhere and anywhere because I know him. I've seen him in my life. I do not allow anyone to tell me otherwise about God because I've experienced God's miracles in my life. And the next day, indeed, I came at 8 o'clock in the morning, submitted all my documents. All my documents. Few months later, received an acceptance letter that I have been accepted into Northwest University. At 27, I started my first year at Northwest University. When it comes to how God operates, I'm speechless. Because when people ask me about my journey, even I myself cannot even begin to grasp what God has done. Because for me, it's beyond human understanding. For me. Where I am right now, it's beyond human understanding. It can only be God. I mean, when people write you off, then God begins a new story, writes a new story about your life. God has written a new story about my life. And everything that I have been through, I went through, it was not for me, but it was all for God's purpose. It was for every person that needs to be strengthened, that needs to be encouraged through my life. So when I started first year, obviously starting first year and you're nervous and all of that, it was not an easy journey. I was accepted for CA and then I ended up doing financial accounting. Yeah, but I was very depressed because I realized that I was really not passionate about this. And then in the second year, I changed courses to become marketing management. And then I graduated in 2019. I got my first degree at the age of 30. Do not let your age stop you from chasing those dreams. Do not let your age limit you. Other people can make it at 21. Other people can make it at 25. Other people make it at 30. Others make it at 35. Others make it at 40. Others make it at 45. Others 50. Others 60. It goes on. God can change your life at any moment. I got my first degree at 30. Mind you, when I was at night school, my friends were starting first year. By the time I started first year at 27, my friends had accomplished much. So imagine if I had compared my life to my friends. I don't think I would be where I am. Maybe I would be miserable, complaining, saying, why is God like this? Why are other people making it and I'm not? But one thing about me, I never compare my life to anyone else because I'm walking a different path. I'm walking a different journey. I'm called for something different. You are called for something different as well. So I got my first degree at 30. And then I obtained my second degree at 31. And then I obtained my third degree at 33. No, 32. And then I finished my first degree in 2019, I think at the age of 30. My second degree, I graduated when I was 32. My third degree at 33. And then I graduated last year for my master's degree at 34. At 34, I obtained my master's degree. So what if I had said to myself, I'm too old to go back to school? You're never too old to go back to school. You're never too old to chase those dreams, to improve your life, to want the best for your life. Never ever let your age limit you from reaching those goals. And even as I've graduated from my master's degree, it doesn't stop there because I'm still working very hard to get to a level that I want to be, because I know that God has big things in store for me. This is only the beginning. God is just giving me a taste of how He shows Himself strong whenever we put our trust in Him. From day one, I trusted God to help me, to guide me, to lead me. And for me to get to where I am in terms of my academia journey, it can only be God. Even my master's degree was extremely challenging. In the first year of doing it, I almost quit. That's how difficult it was. So when I even obtained a distinction, I cried. I cried so much because I knew that everything I do, everything I am, it can only be God. So I decided to record this video because you guys asked me to share a detailed story of my journey. It's very long. Yes, I know this video is long, but there's more to the story. But I shared important parts that I think you guys would appreciate. So I really pray and hope you'll be encouraged and strengthened by my journey. If you're out there, you feel like giving up, you feel depressed, remember that God has a plan for your life. God has a plan. God did not create you to just florisa in this world. No. God created you for a greater purpose and a greater plan. So never allow your circumstances or your situations to discourage you from chasing those dreams and realizing the potential that God has put inside of you. Imagine what would have happened if I said to myself, we are struggling at home, there's so much things that are going wrong, I don't think my life is going to turn out any better. If I had dwelled on negativity, I don't think I would be where I am today. But I chose to believe in God's greater purpose for my life because I know God has called me for a greater calling. And I pray that through my life, many souls will be touched. I really pray, because everything that God does in our lives, it's not for us, but it's for His greater purpose. everything that He has done in my life, it was never about me to begin with, but it was about you. You who's watching this. I hope that through my life, through my testimony, you will tap into your own greatness. Please go out there and shine your light. Be the light for your family. Be the light for your community. Be the light of the world. Don't allow yourself to think negatively about yourself, to think that because of the situations at home, you will never become anything great in your life. With God by your side, trust me, anything is possible. Thank you for watching this until the very end. I know that it's a very long video, and I appreciate you for watching this. I really hope that this video is really going to touch many lives, and that through my testimony, lives will be transformed and lives will be touched. Thank you once again.